Newcastle, she was busy with her first tour, defying the critics who said she couldn't perform live. While Carly played Australia, the Rolling Stones were doing their first ever shows in Japan. In LA, Michael Jackson picked up an award for his 100 millionth album, and Wacko Jacko released his own home video game. Also in February, Tina Turner scored some points with Aussie Rugby League fans, and it was a night of oldies but goodies at the Grammy Awards. And the #1 song for February was by moody Irish singer Sinead O'Connor.
From the songwriting point of view, I'll take credit where it's due. And I'll thank Don Walker for giving me a hand.
In March, the music industry's Night of Nights turned out to belong to Ian Moss, while Gary Frost from 1927 quit the band at the height of its success. Overseas, Cuban singer Gloria Estefan was seriously injured in a bus crash, needing 6 steel rods surgically implanted into her spine. While in London, Bros faced court to explain how they got into such deep financial dire straits. $1.5 million in 18 months. Quite a debt. In March, a singer who used to babysit Paula Abdul made it to #1.
It is a great honor to have had my name used by you to pay tribute to the oppressed people of South Africa in their struggle for freedom.
In the month of April, more than 70,000 people packed into London's Wembley Stadium to honour black South African leader Nelson Mandela. In April, Motley Crue's drummer Tommy Lee was in court to be fined $2,000 for dropping his pants on stage, which wasn't a pretty sight. In other news, the Go-Go's got back together, Ninja Turtles were cowabunga, Madonna released Vogue, and Michael Jackson had afternoon tea with President Bush. And on the charts, a former LA Lakers basketball cheerleader had a #1 with a little help from a cool cat rapper, MC Scat Cat. However, this is how a 16-year-old Paula Abdul looked before fame and a nose job. In the month of May, Janet Jackson received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses married his longtime girlfriend Erin Everly, while David Bowie's ex-wife Angie revealed how she walked in on David in bed with Mick Jagger one day. In other news, Yoko Ono organised a tribute to John Lennon in his hometown of Liverpool. However, the surviving Beatles boycotted the event. And on the charts in May, everyone was striking a pose with Madonna and Vogue as the movie Dick Tracy hit the big screens for June.
I know how you feel. You don't know if you want to hit me or kiss me. I get a lot of that.
Also in June, Michael Jackson thought he suffered a heart attack, but doctors found that he'd been overdoing it in the old diet and exercise department.
We were on a very strenuous tour a couple of years ago. This was the way he handled himself then, and this is the way he's handling himself currently. I might not agree, but that's Mr. Jackson. He's the boss, and I'm not.
And in June, it was Craig McLachlan mania in London.
You see that? Some people finish school and go to university and they become doctors and lawyers. I chose rock and roll and acting. Why? Because I get kissed all the time.
Meantime, Midnight Oil stopped traffic in New York by playing an impromptu gig opposite the Big Apple offices of Exxon Oil Company as a personal protest against Exxon's oil spillage in Alaska last year.
I love it when the suits and ties clap.
Singer Peter Garrett took a bit of a plunge when he slipped off a speaker cabinet while singing.
Yeah, wasn't that incredible? Like a lighting tech or somebody had left this sort of bit of cardboard there. I could feel it slipping. I thought, well, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go. And I went, and I think one of my crew came round, and I sort of landed on the back of his head, and I sort of turned, I said, you all right, mate? Yeah, it's all right. I just jumped back up again. We've got a few scratches and bruises, but we're okay.
Rock history was made at the Berlin Wall, thanks to Pink Floyd's Roger Waters.
We thought of doing it in Wall Street and Red Square and the Gobi Desert and you name it, we thought of it, and all kinds of different things. Then, of course, in November the 9th, they opened the wall just 100 yards from here, and our decision was made for us.
July was a controversial one for the father of Bobby Brown. During Bobby's tour of Australia in July, his father was arrested on charges of sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl. Bobby didn't appear in court, though his brother did put up a $50,000 bail for his release. In London, the world's hottest acts gathered for Nebworth 90.
I'll tell you what, just before we go any further, I think you all understand what this music therapy thing is that everybody's been doing this for today. Helping retarded kids reach out and touch the world, something we all take for granted. Maybe you want to give a big cheer for the music therapy mob.
And the #1 song for July was great Kleenex material, Roxette's It Must Have Been Love.
Stevie Ray Vaughan was killed early this morning when the helicopter he was in crashed near the southern Wisconsin town of East Troy in foggy weather. There were 4 others with him. Vaughan had just performed in a concert with blues rock star Eric Clapton, who had left in a separate helicopter.
In August, heavy metal band Judas Priest were cleared of charges that subliminal messages on one of their albums caused the suicide deaths of 2 teenage fans. Parents of the dead boys claimed a Judas Priest song, if played backwards, contained satanic messages. August was a big one on the home front. In Excess released their first single in 2 years, while Jimmy Barnes was back with his 2 Fires LP, and the Angels hit the road one more time. And in August, the #1 song was by a rapper with God on his side.
Stop. Hammer time.
In September, Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks announced they'd never tour with Fleetwood Mac again, and the annual MTV Awards happened in LA, with Sinead O'Connor winning 5 little statuettes for her video Nothing Compares to You. In September, the rumours started flying about the reunion of this 70s band.
Realistically, we've approached it as a tour to go on the road for X amount of dates over Christmas. It's a nostalgia tour with 2 new songs.
Hi. In September, Kylie Minogue got into The Real Thing in a $1 million ad for Coca-Cola, and on the record charts, this band hit #1 in epic proportions.
How do I feel about our album having success? Well, I feel it's been a long time coming.
What is it? You want it all, but you can't have it.
I just had my fill of drugs. We all did, you know. It was taking our career the wrong way. And we were fortunate enough to see that with the help of some people, some professional people. And that's us. We have the problem. So the press blew it out of proportion, thinking that we're going to get up on soapboxes. You know, again, it was our problem, and what we did to turn it around was, you know, short of miraculous.
In October, Aerosmith made their first tour of Australia in their 25 years of making music, while up north, In Excess were getting ready to kick off their world tour.
Would you say they're the best band in the world?
Oh, definitely. We don't get to see too many people up here in Mackay, but man, this is great. This is the best there is.
In other news in October, hardcore rappers 2 Live Crew were cleared of obscenity charges in the US state of Florida. A jury, including an 84-year-old grandmother, found the group innocent of performing material declared obscene by a local county. And on the record charts, John Bon Jovi hit #1 and confirmed our suspicions that he is a rock and roll cowboy. In November, Australia's rock industry celebrated its coming of age when November 24 was set aside as Oz Music Day. It was a day even Prime Minister Bob Hawke couldn't resist.
I congratulate and join with the industry in supporting November the 24th Australian Music Day.
November was the month Cher breezed into town to face critics who described her shows as flimsy as her costumes. And in November, the world came crashing down on Rob and Fab, that dynamic dreadlock duo who admitted that they didn't sing a note on their records. Silly Vanilli.
You know, we were young, naive, and we believed him.
We were scared. People threatened us We have evidence for that, and we're happy that it's over, you know. We don't understand that it's us, the two little guys from Germany, the victims who has to play suddenly the crooks of a trial that we are not.
Wanting, needing, waiting for you to justify my love.
In November, Madonna had been rocking MTV America with a video she claims is completely justified.
The video is displaying people being honest to each other about their sexuality. They're not alienating anyone, they're not degrading anyone. It's about honesty, it's about the celebration of sex. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh no, Madonna, nothing calculating about the